13 mitigator Ford Fusion. I'd like to thank you for listening to Let's Talk Racing.tv.
Driver of the number 5 Kiker Motorsports Camry. Welcome to Let's Talk Racing TV.
I'm with Rockingham Speedway. Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Tony Peter, driver of the number 17 Toyota in the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Welcome to Let's Talk Racing. Wait, you can't talk?
I know, it caught me off guard again.
I tell you, you sleeping over there.
No, I was looking at what you were doing over there.
I was just bringing up the number 3 car for Dylan's car. But anywho, oh goodness, lots of stuff going on here.
It's been like that for the last 2 weeks.
Everybody getting in and getting out of the chase, and people.
I never heard what Al's take on it. You had Al here last week, right?
Well, yeah. Well, no, we did a call-in with Al, I think, last week. Yeah, we did a call-in with him.
Oh.
He was out and about.
I was just wondering what his take on all that stuff was.
Ooh. 2014, and that's a Cup car.
Yep, that's the Cup car for Austin Dillon next year.
So he will be doing the 3 car.
We'll be doing the 3. I mean, I think that was a known fact, Paul.
Well, yeah, they just didn't know exactly when for sure type thing.
I understand there's some realignment of crew chiefs and stuff going on over there for next year already. So
I'm sure. Well, let's see here.
Tell Al Pearce to wake up.
Yeah, I've got him pictures of him snoozing in Martinsville.
I saw that.
Oh gosh, let's see here. One ringing. He's another one of those that he gets his emails quicker than he does text.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Oh well.
Kind of expected it. I mean, he's up there living the good life right now with at Fenway Park. So.
Oh God! You hear what Danica's going to be doing now? Co-hosting the American Country Awards.
Yeah, I saw that the other day that she was going to. She's done become a cowgirl at heart.
You know? Oh gosh!
Stenhouse has done made her a cowgirl. But
what can we say?
It's gonna be interesting because I understand that GoDaddy is looking at some of their sponsorship stuff and the Napa and 5 Hour Energy Drink are thinking of their sponsorship at Michael Waltrip because of all this is at Richmond. So yeah, maybe some big things coming up here before too much longer.
I'll tell you. Well, like I said, Outback is going to stay with Stuart Haas.
Going to be on the 4 car with Kevin Harvick.
Going to have the 4 car. So they got, who had the 4 car? It used to be McClure.
Mm-hmm. I forget who they said had the number that they had to go and negotiate.
Yeah, I forgot who wound up with it.
So anyway, they're going to have the 4 car. It's going to have Budweiser, Outback Steakhouse. But I understand Quicken Loans may be going with Ryan Newman to RCR for next year. So, we'll ask Blake tonight, and I know he's not going to tell us nothing, but the word is Ryan Blaney is going to be in the 78 car next season.
So much for Juan Pablo.
Well, Juan Pablo's already signed his deal with Penske.
So he's going to go do Indy.
He's going to do Indy. I told you he was destined to go back to Indy. But
still waiting for the schedule to come out for next year, Cup schedule.
And it's really sad, from what I'm hearing, Rockingham has shut back down again, and there is no truck race scheduled for next year. All the races for the rest of this year have been canceled. The UARA cars, the ARCA cars, somebody else is supposed to. The K&N cars are supposed to go there. And all those cars have been, all those races have been canceled. So there's nothing going on. They're saying it's going to go back to a test track until he can.
Getting ready to text something to Andy.
Oh. Yep, that's the new thing, that they're going to have to shut Rockingham back down again. He wasn't able to meet the arrangements for the purses and everything for the races the rest of the year. Pro Cup has already rescheduled their race that they had going to Rockingham. They've rescheduled that for Southern National.
And I love Rockingham's a really nice place to go to too.
It's a great track. I mean, I think the location of it has come to the point where that's probably its biggest problem, and the fact it doesn't pull the big races like the Nationwide.
Well, when they had the truck race there, they were a very good fill on the audience.
Well, it evidently didn't meet the criteria that they were looking for. But they've already pulled the plug on all the races for the rest of the year.
Yeah, hopefully I'll hear something back from Andy on all that. Well, for the New Hampshire race, 43 teams, 43 spots. Everybody's going to make it. Let's see. Hill's driving the 32. Labonte's back in the 47. McDowell's in the 51. Scott Riggs is going to be in the 95.
Mm-hmm.
And Sauter's going to be in the 98. Yeah, isn't it 98 McDowell's car?
Yeah, well, it's not
that's usually what he drives.
Yeah, but he's got a couple race deal with the 51. This is the 11th driver the 51 has had in the car this year.
Well, let's put Terry in there in a short track or something. Hell,
this is the 11th different driver, and I think Truex, Ryan Truex, will be back in it at. He was supposed to be in it at Dover, so I don't know if he's going to be back in Dover or not.
Oh goodness!
But they've started making their changes down there, and I was thinking about Nick Harrison when we were talking to him last week or week before last, whenever it was. He doesn't expect to see a whole lot of changes. Well, when I hit Richmond a couple weeks ago, I'd already gotten wind of one of the changes that was getting ready to be made, and it came to pass today.
Well, one of the things too, I know Lee texted to me. He said he finally got one of his things off of his list, and that was to be on a chase team contending for it.
Well, you know, the biggest thing he had in his mind was, with everything that he had going on this year,
Yeah.
that one of his goals was to get back with a good team and make the chase. That was a goal he made. And he told me, he said, "Dad, if we don't make the chase and the 15 does, and then the 15 wins the championship, I'm gonna lock myself in a room somewhere." He said, "Because that just ain't right." But with everything that transpired, I'm glad that they put the 24 back in. I would have took the 15 out.
Mm-hmm.
That was intentional by no. I don't know what y'all discussed last week about it, but that was completely intentional. And
Oh yeah.
but NASCAR did the right thing by putting the 24 back in, even though a lot of people don't see it that way. I do.
This is what I came up with. This is what you need to have. Okay. Top 10 in points, and whoever wins a race. That is your chase. No set amount, just top 10 in points, and whoever wins a race.
Well, Bible, that would be good.
That way,
But-
more people would compete to get at least one race win in.
But what I don't understand is how NASCAR can kick the 56 out.
Well, he lost points.
Okay, right. Okay, they lost points, but they kicked it in the kick. That put the 56 out. What did the 56 do?
That's true. He is what they call it.
Guilty by association.
No. He's an innocent bystander in the situation.
Okay.
He's basically got shot for standing around where the firefight was going
Okay,
on.
the 55. All he did was pit when he was told to pit.
Yeah.
And of course, he was blatantly on the radio saying, "I don't understand what we're doing here." You know, so he didn't know, and he gets penalized.
Yeah.
But the man who did it spun, gets a 50-point penalty, but doesn't affect the chase. It affects the season-ending points. And in reality, nothing.
Well, they did get $300,000 fine, and the crew chief.
All three crew chiefs are
Yeah.
on. Because I talked to.
But the crew chief is responsible for the team and what the team does. Whether it's the spotter, even though the spotter, he was above the crew chief in the hierarchy of things. But,
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But what I'm saying is, the man who did it basically got nothing. He's still in the running for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
At the end of the year. His two teammates, who had nothing to do with this,
Kicked to the curb.
were penalized. And I can understand why Truex was mad, because Jeff Gordon got in and he was kicked out. But, you know, Ty Norris struck that deal up. And, of course, now he's suspended indefinitely. But I think that NASCAR, I would have done more to the 15 than I'd have worried about them other cars. But yet you can't prove that he did it. But it's blatant that he did what he did, you know. But they just can't say.
I mean, even Junior said he was slowing down
and wiggling the car and doing all kinds
making
of
sure
stuff.
when he spun out, he wasn't going to hurt nothing. Jeez. Anyway, Phoenix Racing. Barkdahl, Phoenix Racing general manager.
Out.
See ya! That comes 1 week after the new owner, Harry Scott Jr., co-owner Turner Scott Motorsports, formally took control. And the Branch Chevy with Justin Allgaier spun out, what, twice?
Twice.
Learning experience, yep.
Well, I mean, he's gonna have his first time he's been in a cup car, so he had some learning to do.
Yeah.
But this thing with Barkdahl, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as the changes that they're going to make at Phoenix. So it'll be interesting to see. I hate for Steve Barkdahl, but we'll see what happens with him down the road. Still trying to get out.
No, I'm sending a text to Liz.
Oh,
She's a minute late, so she's being fashionably late.
you know she does a show herself.
On
They had Mike Helton on their show tonight.
and Nationwide will not be renewing their series.
But they're going to go back to sponsoring, doing some race sponsoring and possibly a car or some cars next year. So, but they're getting out of the overall sponsorship. And you could tell every time everybody got on there, they were talking about thanking Nationwide for they were putting on a push to, kind of keep it. But changes, something else. I guess they're going to do some more changing around.
Let's see. That's following the 14 season, so they'll be here for next year.
Yeah, they'll be here next year, but after that, they won't be here.
They're going to sponsor a Sprint Cup team, buying media, cutting track deals, and maintaining its position as NASCAR's official insurer. So they'll still be hanging around.
Oh, you'll see it. Regan Smith is driving. Sometime later this year, he's driving a Nationwide sponsored car.
Now, Nationwide at Kentucky, some people going home. 42 cars. You got Joey Coulter is going back to Joe Gibbs 18. Kevin LePage, the number 4 for JD Motorsports. So it must mean Landon Castle. Well, he's with the Cup team. Yeah, New Hampshire. So Dakota Armstrong is going to be RCR's number 21. Ryan Blaney, number 22 for Penske. Jeb Burton, 34 for Turner Scott.
That's new.
And Drew Herring, he's going to be back in the 54 for Joe Gibbs again.
So this is the first week in the Nationwide series that you have not had a Cup driver in the field.
We'll actually probably have a better chance at somebody.
That's what they were talking about the other day. This will be the first time that they will have that happen this year, because nobody's going to make the trip back and forth between the two tracks.
And this will be Jeb Burton's Nationwide
debut.
His debut. I wonder who that is. Let's talk racing.
Hey, this is Liz Allison.
Hi, Liz. Nice to hear your voice again.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good to be on with you.
I heard you had a show tonight that was pretty good too, with Mike Helton on it, didn't you?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Mike Helton tonight, and a lot of great information from him, as you can imagine. And he didn't have anything to talk about, which would be great.
Sometimes I hear getting him trying to talk about stuff is like pulling, teeth out of a hen,
He was great. I mean, he was I thought he was very transparent. I thought he was honest and was to the point. And I have a great relationship with Mike, and so I was honored to have him. I was especially appreciative of his honesty and just having the whereabouts, I guess, to come forward and talk about all of this when so much has been going on. So many requests for his time and such. So I was glad to have him on and be able to pick at him a little bit and get some answers that I wanted to hear. So it was kind of interesting, some of the answers.
So what were some of the things that you all discussed tonight with that? I mean, I know with everything they've got going on right now, I don't want to be NASCAR.
Yeah, me neither. And that was one of the things that I pointed out. But, some of the questions that we asked, Darren McFarland and I have been doing racing here in Nashville for years. We've been on the air together probably about 9 years. So and you guys know how that is. When you're in the studio with somebody for that long, they become an extension of yourself professionally. So I was grateful to be in the studio with him when we had so many pressing questions. And some of the things that we asked Mike about were, and for me, looking back over the past 2 weeks, and knowing that what happened at Richmond with the Michael Waltrip Racing situation, and then with the penalties that they handed out thereafter. As we all know, watching the week unfold, it started with one little piece of the pie, and then it just kept going. You know,
Yeah.
I felt like, it was a continuous thing. I was getting text alerts on my phone. This was happening, that was happening, and the Logano, the Gilliland, and then the Jeff Gordon, and it was just nonstop. And so my question for him was, did you know when you guys decided, when you and John Darby and Robert Pemberton and Brian French, when you all decided to hand out these penalties on Monday, that it basically was opening a Pandora's box? Because what started on Monday certainly wasn't where they ended on Friday or Saturday once they got to Chicagoland.
You got that right.
And in my opinion, it was a turning point for NASCAR, because I know I've been in this sport for 25 years. I was married to a driver. I was privileged to be a part of many of those conversations. This stuff didn't just happen at Richmond. Come on, guys. It's been happening for years. And so at this point, now that you've come out and it's been exposed, if you will, and NASCAR has taken the stand, you can't turn back now. You can't turn the other cheek. So this is really kind of a transition time, and I'll be curious to see how they handle this moving forward, because it does happen all the time, and it hasn't seemed to be that big of a deal until you're getting into the last race in the race to the chase, when there was so much on the line. So I just think it's a bigger story than what it even seems right now, because it has to. This is a big time of change.
Well, I was a little, Roger and I were just sitting here talking about this a few minutes ago, that I was a little, I'm going to say I'm partial to the 24 because my son is on the pit crew of the 24. But I was concerned about the fact that the 15, even though NASCAR can say they did not know that was intentional, it looked very intentional, and he basically got off scot-free out of the whole deal. And that just, to me, that would have been a question I'd have had to ask him too. I said, look, why did we go that route? And why did you penalize points before the chase and pretty much let him in, but it kicked one of his teammates out?
Well, and we did, and I think their response to that has been pretty consistent, and that is that we were penalizing the team and not specifically a driver. And what I think is interesting is that they were pinpointing the Brian Vickers, Ty Norris end of things more so than they were the Clint Boyer end of things. Because, their stand was, well, we could prove Ty Norris and Brian Vickers, but we can't prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the Clint Boyer side of things. So in their minds, from what they've communicated, and all the calls that I've been on, and certainly in our interview, is that the approach was really that the direction was really more with Brian Vickers and Ty Norris, and I get that to some degree, but listen, I want to say this about Jeff Gordon. I'm very fond of him. I think personally he's a great guy. I think he's an upstanding guy. He's obviously a future Hall of Famer. Has been a fierce competitor through the years, and I have a lot of respect for him. But do I think that he should have been allowed a spot in the chase? I do not. And I do not in the fact that the way it went about, and whether it's 7 laps to go or whether it's 12 laps to go or whatever it is, when you start speculating what might have happened or what could have happened, oh my goodness, guys. I mean, how many things fall apart for a team with a half lap to go. Davey ran out of gas at Dover one time on the last lap leading the race, and he didn't win the race.
Right. I agree with that.
And my thing is with this whole deal with the chase for the championship to start with, I understand the wild card, and I understand rewarding wins, and I know that's where that's all coming from. But if you're doing what you need to do team-wise and driver-wise, and if you're truly chase material when it comes down to it, you're going to be in the chase. And so I get a little I get a little lost in all of this. Well, if he was in here, it's just 1 point here and there. Well, yeah, but if you've been in the position all season, preseason, if you will, to get up to this point, you would have been in the chase anyway, and we wouldn't be having a discussion over 1 point. So I think it really is. It's great for argument's sake, but at the end of the day, they made the call. I did ask him. I said, him being Mike Helton, I said, now that it's been over a week, and everything has taken place that it did, things are settling down a little bit. We're getting into the chase. Any regrets of any calls that you guys made? Any regrets on any of the penalties and such? And he said no. He said, if anything, he felt more confident that they had done the right thing, and that surprised me. Well, sometimes I feel like NASCAR can be a little reactive in their penalties and such, and any time someone is reactive, there's that room for coming back and having some regret. But he said not at all.
Well, you know, you mentioned the thing about the Ty Norris and Vickers and their conversation they had on the radio, and then the Gilliland situation with his spotter and Travis Geisler and all them up there, you know, making a deal for that, which they said never happened, and nobody will ever know if it really did happen. What's the difference in the two is what I'm trying to say. You know, all you did was put them on probation for the same thing that you penalized Vickers for.
Exactly, and I mean I agree with you 100%, and I do feel, knowing Mike Helton and Darby and Pemberton and Brian France, all of that, I know those guys very well, and I know they don't take this stuff lightly, and I know that they understand that once something, especially the way social media is now, that there are no, I mean, there are secrets, but once they get out, it's hard to keep secrets, and it's hard to keep things under a wrap. So I feel certain that they knew once they started in on this, it was going to open up, as I said, a Pandora's box. I don't know that they knew it was going to be as crazy as it was, and that it would turn into what it did. But I have to agree, and he said, even on the show tonight, he said, you know, I stand firm, and we believe we did the right thing under the circumstances and under the information that we were able to pull together for each one of these situations. I don't know if I totally believe that. They're not stupid guys.
No.
But I do feel that they had enough information to feel that what they did was legitimate.
Yeah.
and they had to move on from there.
I agree with that. I think so. Did he, in your conversations with him, did he give you any more insights about things going on in NASCAR as far as changes or anything like that they're looking at or anything?
Well, you know, one thing that I brought up, which was a little uncomfortable for me because of my relationship with Mike, but one thing that I brought up to him is that there's so much talk about, you know, now that, you know, there's possible schedule changes for next year and some wacky little pieces there, and there's, you know, taking this race from here and maybe adding one there, and, you know, when you listen to the fans, of course they're very opinionated about where we should be racing and how many times we should be there. Is the season too long? Blah, 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 blah. And one of the things that I've heard recently has been, is it time for the NASCAR brass, in this case, Mike Helton at the top of the round there, the president seat, you know, is it time for them to step aside and bring a new flock in to maybe get NASCAR to a different place? Is it time for that? And so I asked him that. What's your response to that? To the people that say it's time for you to get out, how do you respond to it? And he said, you know, after 35 years in the sport, he can see where people might say that. And that there are changes that they're working on, and that some of them, which, you know, they're not able to discuss right now for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was surprised at how transparent he was in his response to that, because it was a little uncomfortable for me to ask that question. But you know, I think we all know that there's somebody out there that can do all of our jobs. None of us are as good as we might like to think we are at times. But so in regard to your question, in regard to him discussing changes, he just said that there's more changes coming down the pike. Certainly there will be schedule changes, even though at first it seemed like there wouldn't be. It looks like there will be now. There are some changes in-house with NASCAR. And it looks like those are all things that are still in motion. So he didn't get specific on very much of that.
Well, I guess you really can't say anything until everything is put in place. But It may be a time for, in my thoughts, that it may be a time that they need to make some changes. They need to make them.
And I agree with that. And as much as I respect Mike Helton and all of those guys, John Darby, Robin Pemberton, Brian France, I have the utmost respect for them. I've known them for a long time. They're all very passionate. They're very knowledgeable. They know their stuff, and their intentions are all good. Do I think at some point that it might be a time for some new folks to move in there? Of course, there comes a time for that for everybody, and when that time is, that's certainly not for me to say. But whatever changes are made, I feel like certainly they'll put some thought into it. They'll always agree with the changes that they make. No, by no means. So I'll be curious to see what comes up with the schedule. And then also, if we do see any personnel changes, if you will, as time goes on. But I have to tell you guys, I did ask Mike a question because I've never heard him discuss this, and I actually was curious from my own standpoint. As we all know, since the birth of NASCAR in '48, there's only been 3 presidents, 2 of which have the last name France, and Mike Helton is the only one outside of a France family member to sit at the president's seat. So I asked him, what was that conversation like? Who made that phone call to you to say, hey, we want you to be president of NASCAR? And he laughed, and I said, y'all know he's a pretty serious guy, so to get him to laugh, I felt like that was
that was pretty good.
But he talked about the fact that Bill France Jr. called him into his office in Daytona and just said, hey, I think we want you to be the next president. And just his surprise and just how long it took for it to really sink in. So I loved hearing that side of it because I've never heard how that conversation went. And the people that were perhaps overlooked to not take that position. There's Jim France, there's Brian France, there's Lisa France Kennedy, who obviously is on the ISD side of things. There are a lot of people that could have gone into that position, but it was with Mike Helton, and it's still there, obviously.
Liz, other than your show that you're doing now with the talk show or whatever, what other things are you involved in as far as NASCAR is concerned? I know you write some books or we're doing some book writing or whatever. What other things are you doing in NASCAR to stay close to the sport?
Well, I still write, as you mentioned, and I write independently, so I can write for NASCAR, I can write for whomever. So I have a lot of those gigs going on, if you will, at any time, and I also do personal appearances. So I'm at the track quite a bit with sponsors. And love doing that. I had the opportunity to get out and mingle with the fans quite a bit. At Bristol, I was there with Ferguson, Bath Kitchen and Lighting Gallery. I don't know if you guys have one in your area, but they had a big group of about 500 there. So I did some pit tours, some VIP kind of personal pit tours with some of their guests, which was a lot of fun. So a lot of different events like that I go out and I'm involved in, and as you mentioned, radio and the big part of what I do is so easy for me because I live, breathe, and sleep this stuff. This NASCAR is I've often said it's a lifestyle. It's not a job. You live it. Mm-hmm. And for me, that is how it is. After Davey died, I took some time away from the sport and needed to. It was a little too painful for me at that time. And once I came back into it professionally, that's really where my light bulb kind of just came on. I mean, what I know more than anything is that I'm a NASCAR fan, and that fan in me is what keeps me coming back, and that the family that I have at the racetrack is my extended family, and as Mike Helton said on our show tonight, and we are one big family, and I'm happy to be a part of that family. And outside of my home where I put my head down on my pillow every night, my second home is the racetrack, and it doesn't matter if it's New Hampshire, if it's Richmond or Talladega. So it's been such a blessing to me and my family for sure.
Well, I know one thing. I'm glad to see that you're such a part of the sport, because I was a big Davey fan back in the day, and it was. I'm glad you came back to the sport and become a part of it.
Well, thank you for saying that. That means a lot, and I love when I'm out at these racetracks, and I still run into Davy fans everywhere I go when I'm at the racetrack, and it is such a beautiful gift. I mean, he passed away 20 years ago, so our kids were 1 and 3 at the time. Krista is 23 years old and is out of college, and working in her career at Disney in Orlando as a designer, and is doing great. And Robbie has 1 more year in college, and they're grown up, so a lot of time has passed. So for all of us to be able to go to the racetrack and to be embraced by the fans and still by the NASCAR family, it's very much a blessing in my life. I feel fortunate every day, and I have to pinch myself and say, is this real? Because I've been able to be a part of a passion that I love with people that I love.
And how much? I mean, I know you're in Nashville now, right? That's where you're living.
I am, yes.
So how much do you see Bobby and Donnie and that group down there very often, or and how are they doing?
Not enough. I wish I could see them every day. But we talk, obviously with texting. Bobby and Judy do text, which is a great thing. We all stay in contact. And in fact, I was talking to Bonnie today, who's Davy's sister and Bobby and Judy's daughter, and she handles business stuff for Bobby. Bobby and I are doing an appearance together in Talladega. So I always look forward to that. We do some stuff together professionally, and certainly they're the grandparents of mine and Davy's children, so we're all still very involved in each other's lives, and they've been wonderful to me. I'm remarried, and we have a 10-year-old daughter who's in 5th grade here in Nashville, so I am a parent of grown kids and also an elementary age daughter. So, and travel doing my work in NASCAR. So I'm like most moms, I'm out there trying to wear a lot of hats, and I have a great family that helps me do that, and Bobby and Judy are 2 of those people that help me do it. So I'm grateful.
Well, I tell you, it's been an honor to talk to you, because I was the one who'd been contacting you and trying to get you on the show, and I've always been very partial to the Allison family. So.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, you guys call me anytime. I love being on with you, and I appreciate you asking.
Hang on. He's been doing all the talking, Liz. You haven't even gotten to me yet. I've just been kicked to the curb on my own show. Gosh.
Well, that's how it happens sometimes. My co-host, sometimes I have to put my boot in there and say, shut up, Buster, I'm getting in here.
Do you know a guy named Albert Pearce?
I do, yes.
Well, I don't remember if you were on the show before when we had him on here, because he sometimes co-hosts with me. Yeah. But, we have that problem with him, too.
It happens. Us people on radio, we like to talk anyway, so if, it just happens. I do the same thing sometimes where I know Darren wants to throw a boot at me, too, so.
Well, it's fun, because sometimes he'll recognize it, and he'll say, yeah, let him keep going. Everybody's listening to me all the time. Let me give me a break. Go for it, Al. Let him. You take a break. But anyway, we were discussing, with all the stuff that had gone on, one of the things to throw out there was possibly a new change to the chase. Okay, still have your top 10 in points. Whoever else wins a race, they're in the chase. That way, there's no fighting for wild cards. It's simply fighting to get a win. And that's what apparently most of the fans want to see, other than crashes, is wins. What do you think on that?
Oh, I've heard that too. I think the chase is a mixed bag for me, because I get it, and I get wanting to have this, this playoff series, and to build kind of attention momentum as we get closer to the championship. I certainly don't like to see. When we have a season where we have a champion that hasn't won a race, and it just seems to be kind of a blah-blah season. I do feel like the chase adds a level of excitement. What I don't like about it is that the drivers that aren't in the chase, and for the sponsors too, because I certainly get the sponsor into things, then they're really kind of shut out in this last 10 weeks, because, you can win a race if you're outside of the chase, but they're not going to talk about you. So, it's all going to be about who's in the chase and who did what. So, as far as what you're talking about, what you suggested, I'm not opposed to it. I don't know that there is a perfect way to go about the chase. I almost feel like it's all or nothing. It's either the top 10 in points, when we come into that cutoff, and that's who's in, or you're kind of opening up Pandora's box again. Because then how many people are you going to have in the chase? I mean, at what point does it become a privilege to be in it, and at what point does it become kind of that unique little group that? So I don't know. I don't know if that works for me or not.
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest thing, like you were talking about, when they brought the chase in, I saw most of the time the reason for the chase was the first guy in first place, if he started really running away and stinking up the show. It gave him a chance to put everybody close together with like a 10-lap sprint to the end of everything.
That would be the Matt Kenseth rule.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just seemed like that would be so easy, and there's no set amount of how many guys are going to be in the chase. So you potentially have 30-plus drivers that could be in the chase.
But is that really that exciting? I mean, how is that different from just not having a chase? And then everybody... I mean, here's the thing. If you're running, it's kind of what I said about Jeff Gordon. If you're running a great season, and yeah, if you're having some off weeks, I mean, it's a long season. If you get a DNF here or there, whatever. But if you're doing what you need to do, you're going to be in contention to win with or without the chase.
Right.
So, I mean, I like I said, I get the whole chase thing, and I understand the kind of building that excitement, and I understand what you're saying too. But then if you have 30 people in the chase, there's only 43 cars in the field on any given Sunday. That doesn't mean that there's not more people, with the little points under the belt. But if you're outside of that, we don't even need to discuss you anyway. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying that one.
Okay, you're not going to get president of NASCAR.
Well, what can I say?
Luckily for me, I don't want that position.
I don't either. I don't want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, that's too hard work for me. I told Mike Helton he deserves a medal that's not out there. That's for sure, because that's tough work. I mean, and no matter what they do, they're criticized for it.
Yeah, it seems like you can't win for losing scenario.
That's exactly right. And again, I wouldn't want to be in that position because it's easy for me to give my opinion. But I don't have to go and report to any of those guys and make and have the fans on my back and have the drivers beating at the trailer either. So I like being in my position better than what I would want to be. Than I would want to be in Mike Helton's position. I can tell you that.
Cool. All right. Well, now I have to let you go because your time slot ran out.
Well, guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and call anytime.
No problem, Liz.
Well, I really appreciate you doing it, and thanks a lot for calling.
All right, guys, take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Yeah, I wish I'd known you were trying to get a hold of her to get her on the show. I have her number. I text her back every once in a while about different things.
I have seen her at the racetrack. I have talked to her a couple times at the racetracks, just in passing. And I just said, it may be something interesting to try, just to get her on the show to see what all. I would like to go back one time, get her on the show, and go back and talk about Davey.
Yeah.
Because, I was a Davey Allison fan. My daughter was a diehard Davey Allison fan.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people around there.
And I have the Davey Allison books at home, and,
The thing, I had the restaurant down the street, Checkered Flag. The owners I knew down there real well. They used to sponsor with one of the guys I sponsored with, John Hicks, when he was running Grand Stock and late models. That was when I was running late models. And we always went down there after the races and everything on Saturday night and had a good old time. Well, I loaned him a Davey Allison big old plaque about this tall. Attached it on the wall, and they said, "Don't worry, we'll take care of it." Well, come along, they sell off the restaurant, and the people that bought it got rid of all the memorabilia on the wall, sold it.
Oh.
And it was a really nice one. It had Davey's car on it. It was down at Charlotte, and something about lightning strikes at Charlotte or something like that. It was really, really kick-ass. I no longer lend out things to places that are going to display it. If it's going, I'm going to be with there, and it's coming with me when I go back.
Yeah.
Well, let's do a quick call here to Blake here. Yeah. Hello, Blake.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 7.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, for that we should play that and let everybody hear.
Because, I talked to him earlier. Well, wait a minute.
Oh, you're saying, wait a minute, this is not a good sign.
No, it's not, because I got a message.
What, from him?
I'm thinking that's where it's from. No. No, that's not him. That's somebody else.
We'll text him real quick. Say, yo, dude. While you're doing that, I'm going to update my phone. Good. That's the thing, I sent the text out to Lee, about calling in.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I get this phone number pops up. What time or something, I forget what it was. He texted me and it caught me off guard.
2-6 instead of 3-6.
Ah. Aha.
So that was my problem.
Is that one of them operator error things?
Yeah, that was me. That wasn't him.
You're Jack, so you're Jack man. You let the thing fall off. Oh, great.
Man, that was not good.
$26, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we're ringing again. Now we'll probably have whoever it was I called call back in the middle of all this stuff, trying to say, "Y'all called?" No, we didn't.
Hello?
Blake Harris, how you doing today?
Are you sure this is Blake's number now?
I screwed the number up, Blake. In case you're wondering, I messed up on one of the numbers there, but that's my fault.
No problem.
So how's it going out there in Colorado today?
Pretty good. Weather's a lot nicer than what some of the guys have been seeing the last week or so. So enjoying the back to normal Colorado weather out here. So.
Well, good. Let me ask you a question, and I wanted to ask you this question when I saw you in Richmond, but I never got an opportunity. I know y'all were busy. And congratulations on making the chase. I think that was really great for you and that team.
Yeah, thank you very much.
One of the things the logistics of being in Colorado and racing the Cup Series, how does all that work for you guys? I mean, I know you're basically like a satellite team out of Childress, but how does that work for y'all? I mean, do you all go out and leave from that shop there all the time with the car, or how does it work?
Yeah. Occasionally when we get certain situations that pop up, for instance, if Chicago had rained out and we had raced Monday, we would have had to send our cars, from here in a different hauler to meet our truck instead of trying to make it all the way back. And there's a lot of places that are different than North Carolina. Like Loud and our guys will have to help hightail it back. It's 40-something hours for them to get back here, and then they'll have to turn around and go to Dover. So, there's a lot of places, those Northeast races are a lot longer haul for us, obviously, than North Carolina teams. But as far as the everyday logistics, we've got it's one of our owner's company trucks for Furniture Row that goes back and forth constantly in North Carolina, and we're constantly getting a feed every week. We've got a guy that lives in North Carolina that takes care of running down all the items that we need, our motors from DCR, all the little pieces, Cup teams buy stuff from CV products or whoever, we get those same items and they go on that truck and it comes out here and gets delivered. Our truck shows up Thursday, and that's kind of our constant lifeline, between here and all the stuff that we need out there. Obviously the logistics for the team that travels, we've got a little more, flight time maybe than a lot of those guys, and obviously we don't drive to really any of the races where, Charlotte-based teams can, but other than that, I mean, you got to plan a little further ahead so that we can leave a day or two early with the hauler, and that's about it. It's not these guys have been working on it for 8 years that way, and they've got a really good system down to where it doesn't affect it, I think, as much as most people would think it would.
So it doesn't affect the preparation, getting the cars prepped and ready to go, because you're already ahead of the game ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in work today. We were working on Dover car stuff. It's almost completely through the final setup stages. We'll do the final touches on it when we get back Monday. But we've got a decent sized shop-based crew that's constantly working away, and like I said, Dover won't have to leave till next Tuesday night, and they're already working on some Kansas stuff too. So it's easier when you have a guy like Kurt right now that doesn't really tear up a lot of stuff for us, and he's bringing cars back home in one piece, and we've got decent amount of inventory on cars to where we're able to stay ahead, and that definitely helps. When you get into situations where you're wrecking a bunch of stuff all the time, it's just like any other team. It takes longer to turn that stuff around, and it hurts that preparation time. But right now for sure, we're putting the guys at the shop and everybody are able to get the stuff done, early enough that we're able to have plenty of time to go through and dot all our I's and cross all our T's before they have to leave. So.
Now you moved out to Colorado to go to work for them, right?
Yep, absolutely. I moved out here in January of 2010.
Yeah, because I remember you were getting ready to leave Charlotte at one time. For the people who are listening, tell us a little bit how you got started. I mean, I know basically where you started at and everything, but tell us how you got started and what all you've been doing in racing before you got to Furniture Row.
Well, I originally grew up in Texas. Did a lot of racing growing up myself. Around my dad racing growing up, and I moved out there as soon as I graduated high school. I left to North Carolina and attended Bobby Isaac Motorsports there. Took a bunch of pit crew classes and went through a lot of the different stuff, fabrication school and all that. Ended up getting hooked up with Evernham's engine shop. Worked there for a few years, and then got transferred over to the chassis shop and worked there for about a year and a half before I moved out to Furniture Row. And then in the meantime, I was also doing a bunch of short track stuff on the side. Had a few guys that worked for me, and we just constantly, while I was working for the big teams, we were doing work on the side and prepping cars for some of the Allison Legacy Series, legacy stuff, legend cars. Just had a bunch of guys that were willing to do a bunch of work on the side, and we were trying to get as much experience as we could. We raced anywhere from 60 to 80 times a year with those teams that we ran, part-time work, and we worked for the cup teams during the day and those teams at night. So constantly running around the East Coast there, racing somewhere, everywhere, whether it was with the cup teams or with the smaller teams. So, and then like I said, in 2010, moved out to Furniture Row. Evernham had moved on to Rich Petty Motorsports, and then when they merged with Ford, the opportunity that I had to stay on board there, I chose not to go with. And at the time, I was kind of thinking about just doing my company full time, and ended up getting an opportunity to come out to Furniture Row as a lead setup guy, and did that for about 3.5 years until I went back on the road here back in May. So.
Now, you went to the Bobby Isaac Motorsports School. Of course, my son Lee went there too, and that was a very good learning experience for that at that place, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. It was. It's interesting. I thought about it a lot at Richmond, and a couple weeks prior to that, when I saw Lee on the 24. It's weird. would park next to each other, and back when we were in school, pit crew class especially, you know, I was changing tires and Lee was carrying for me, and he 6-7 years later, I guess 8 years later, us be working next to each other in the garage, and you know, both working for teams that are competing in the chase. That was pretty cool to see. So, but yeah, that was a great learning experience. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. Yeah, I grew up around that stuff, working on race cars growing up, and there was some classes that were more helpful than others. But it was definitely a great avenue to start in, to get back, you know, get acclimated with what those guys are going to want to see to ultimately get a job. So.
All right, now here comes the $50,000 question, and I know you're not going to be able to answer it probably the way that we want you to do, but you're losing Kurt after this year, and I know that has to be some kind of a blow to that team, don't you think?
Yeah, it's not quite the way that people would think. You know, obviously, Kurt is. I put Kurt. You could name me 3 guys that I'd take over Kurt after being around him. I mean, he's a genuine guy. He's a great guy to be around. And as far as Lou on a race car, I don't think there's any question that he's going to be one of the best in the country at that. And you know, so it's going to be hard to replace that, obviously. And you know, you have the initial stuff that comes out with Kurt moving on, and you know, at the time of you wanting that guy to stay and to be able to continue the success that we've had and be able to carry on, you know, obviously everybody on the team wants that, but at the same time, you know, this is an opportunity for Kurt to get back to somewhere in his career that I'm sure he's been striving for the last 2 or 3 years, and so at the same time, knowing Kurt and being around Kurt, you want the best for him, and if that's the best move that's for him, that's great. You know, our guys are going to be very selective in who they choose to move forward with this company, and you know, I think we've earned the spot with Kurt driving to be in the chase this year, and hopefully in the future we can too. So, you know, right now it's easy to say, you know, it's a big blow to the team, and you know, maybe people are upset about that, but really, as a whole, we're able to look at the fact that we've got 9 races left this year with Kurt, and we're sitting, you know, tied for 5th in points. We have an opportunity right now that this company has never had, and that we may not have for, you know, we don't know who we're going to have next year, so we don't know what opportunity we will have. So right now, it's kind of like everybody, I think, is grasping that with everything they have, the fact that we have the opportunity to make the most out of what we have right now, and that's what we're really pushing hard for. Everybody's digging down, and it's impressive to be able to take, you know, our team and the guys and Kurt, and hopefully be able to compete week in, week out with these guys and make a run at this thing. So.
Well, it's quite obvious that Kurt brought a whole lot to Furniture Row when he came, because he had to help build that chemistry there that you all have. That's really, you all have stepped it up a notch compared to what it was before, and you've even won a race before with Regan Smith over there. But you know, with him there, it just knocked you up another notch. I mean, the car's running better than I've ever seen it run.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I feel like we've had fast cars. I mean, you know, a lot of people, you get the small team saying all the time, and you know, our owner puts a lot into this thing. I would say as much as any of the owners do. I'd rank him right up there with the amount of resources that he puts into this deal. And we have RCR cars. We've had RCR cars, you know, close to the beginning of 2010, and you know, we get brand new cars all the time. We're building stuff, and we paint our own bodies. We go to the wind tunnel, and we test, and we put a lot into it. So as far as having the equipment to do it, I think that's been there, and we've only gotten better with the people that we've brought on board, and you know, with Todd and our engineer and all the guys, you know, the resources that they put in it and the time and the effort that the entire team puts in. It's nice to take a guy like Kurt that can showcase that for you. You know, obviously we've had a little bit of bad luck along the way too, which we're kind of hoping is maybe used up all the year's bad luck already. And a lot of it, you know, a lot of people call it growing pains and stuff like that, but it's just us trying to push and give Kurt everything that he's capable of doing, because he's think he's proven that he's capable of bringing this team, to any level that we're capable of giving them. So.
Well, Lee worked with Kurt at Phoenix when he was there. It's a whole different type. He's not the person everybody makes him out to be.
Absolutely not.
Because I've talked with him last year several times, and he is just not that type of person. I mean, everybody gives him a bad rep, but he seems to be a person that really cares for his team and works hard with his team.
Absolutely, and there's nothing better when you work on a team and a guy gets out of the racecraft in a race and you know that was every ounce that car had, because that's all you can ask for. And that's, the guys that have been around racing a long time, you can't appreciate anybody more than somebody that that's giving you that. So, and as far as a person, man, he's, one of the best guys to talk to, great sense of humor, joke around with him. He's just, it's hard to see how the media portrays it sometimes, because he's not that guy. I mean, you don't see that guy.
That's right.
The people that try to give him bad rap, it's like, man, catch all the good this guy does.
Yeah, that's what I hate to say, with a lot of the drivers you run into. They do a lot of good. You don't hear the good. You always hear the bad. That's like the news you turn on at 6 o'clock at night. You always hear bad news. You hardly ever hear good news stuff.
That's right. Well, Blake, we appreciate you calling, and we called you.
Yeah, we're going to try to stop by and at least say hi if you're down at the Martinsville track.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, for sure. I'll be there.
And man, I really appreciate you doing it for me tonight, and I'll talk with you again soon.
All right. Yep. Give me a shout anytime. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
We didn't even get to talk about his number 26 car.
All right, what's up, man?
Lee Pulliman.
Oh, well, I'll let you handle that. Let you go over here.
Welcome to Let's Talk Racing there, Lee. How you doing tonight?
Doing well. How y'all doing?
Oh, we're hanging in there. We're doing some laps. Not burning any gas doing it, though, so it's got good gas mileage.
10-4.
And congratulations on that championship. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Everybody put a whole lot of hard work into it, and to pull it off 2 years in a row, that says a lot for everybody's commitment and dedication, and it's been truly a dream ride for all of us. So a lot of hard work going down into it, and feels good to pay off with winning it.
Now, you're one of, 3 guys? I read somewhere today you're one of 3 guys that have won it multiple times?
Yeah, we joined the names of the late Larry Phillips and Philip Morris, so that's pretty special company for us to be in. So nothing to hang our heads down about that. So really happy for everybody. Everybody's worked extremely hard. Everybody on the team, Kowalski Racing Engines, Hitchcock Race Cars, everybody's given 110%, and I just feel real blessed to be able to pull it off and support all those guys back as much as they supported me.
Now, where did you race mostly? You did mostly all at Motor Mile?
We raced a little bit everywhere. We raced Motor Mile, South Boston were the 2 main tracks that we went to the most. Went quite a few times down at Southern National, and went to Caraway a couple times. So we raced a little bit everywhere. We raced every weekend basically since March 2nd, besides a couple of rainouts. So a lot of hard work going into it for sure.
So what have you got that you're going to be doing the rest of the season? Are you going to be hitting all the big races?
We got Motor Mile this weekend for the last championship race, Martinsville Test next Wednesday, and then the big Martinsville race, and got a couple other things up in the works, but nothing's a done deal yet. So just right now, as far as the only thing confirmed is Motor Mile in Martinsville.
You probably don't remember me, but you and I met at a gas station up in Cape, Virginia, when you came back from a hunting trip on the Eastern Shore or a fishing trip or something.
Yes, sir.
You
remember that?
Yeah, we were.
Is that a scary thing?
No, we were standing out there by the gas pumps, just carrying on a racing conversation the whole time. And my wife looked at me and she said, we're supposed to be somewhere." I couldn't help but sit there and talk to him. So, have you started working on anything as far as next year is concerned?
We're trying. We're we've been searching for some sponsorship to try to do some other things, and basically everything is basically sponsorship based if we move up or not. So just costs a lot of money to race anything, and we got a couple cool opportunities and a couple offers. Just gotta get the financial stuff right. So just really hoping and praying we can get some sponsors to come on board and keep this thing rolling, keep moving up.
Now, have you talked to anybody talking about moving up, whether it's going to be in the K&N truck, Nationwide, anything like that, or ARCA, or?
We've talked to a couple different people, but it's it really is best to leave that unknown until something happens. So we're just doing a lot of praying right now as far as sponsorship, and if anything comes through, we'll be glad to talk about it then. But I'm just one, never counts your chickens to the hatch, and just we got our fingers crossed.
Well, keep everything crossed you can. I love. Well, if this gives you anything good, we've had quite a few people been on the show, and before too long, they're up there running. And I'll give you a recent one, Kyle Larson.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just this sport's so much about timing and being at the right spot at the right time and who you know. And we've been really fortunate. We've had a lot of support over the years, and for people that trusted us that didn't that didn't have a reason to. They just had faith that we could get the job done. And we come from racing nothing to jumping into a limited car with some help from some people, and then just always wanted to race, just never had the opportunity, just never had the finances to do it. And here we are, 2 national titles in a row, and 7 years ago I'd never sat in a go-kart or anything. I was just a guy on the other side of the fence that the little kid there that wanted an autograph, and I thought it would be just extremely cool to be able to do that one day. So I just feel extremely blessed that we've accomplished what we have in such a short period, and to do it with what we've done it with, it's pretty amazing.
Well, how many wins have you got this year, and what as far as that goes, how many wins have you gotten?
We won number 27 Saturday night, and we've won it all 4 tracks that we've been to this year. So last year we ended up with 22, and this year 27 so far. So hopefully we can add a couple more before the year is out. But that's a lot of wins in the year. So I just can't say enough about everybody's hard work. I tell you, it's one of those seasons where you look back on it and it's like, wow. When you're racing every week, you don't get a chance to look back because it's work to be done at the shop. Start rolling them out first thing Monday morning and rolling all week, working all day and all night on my stuff and then other cars that I maintain, and it's just a never-ending process. So it's nice at the end of the year to look back at all the races you run and all the ones that we ended up winning, and it's pretty cool.
So this is your team as far as, it's your team altogether. You're not driving for anybody else.
No. We don't have the finances to do stuff like that. So we everything, we've got a lot of good sponsors that have helped us along the way, and product sponsors and then sponsors at different tracks. So been really blessed. I keep up my own stuff and all volunteer crew at the track, and I actually keep up a couple other limited late models, and it's a full-time deal for us, and I've got a lot of cars that come in and out of the shop, done some stuff on that bowling at the beginning of the year, and it's full-time for me. I stay in there, I eat, sleep, and breathe it, and that's my passion, figuring out how to be a smarter race car driver on the track, and then how to outsmart everybody else as far as getting it to go through the corner faster. So it's one of those deals where I enjoy every aspect of it, and I have my hands on every piece of that car every week. So it's definitely something that helps me because I know my car is inside and out, and it's something that I enjoy just as much as racing.
Well, I finally got to come see you race. I was at Southern National when you were down there for the big race at the end of the year, and I was really glad I got to see you race, and I hope we get to see you move up and racing with in a bigger class sometime soon.
appreciate it. I really do.
I mean, we're just rolling right along here. I tell you, time's flying.
Well, we appreciate your time tonight, and hopefully we can get back in touch with you real soon.
All right.
And if you got some news, let us know. You and I are friends on Facebook, by the way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, like I said, we're working hard. You know, got our fingers crossed, and just you know, hopefully, if the right deal comes along, we can jump on it. But it's you know, it's a long ways from signing anything yet. So it's just one of those things. Everything's gotta work out right, and hopefully it will.
So you will be at Martinsville, right?
Yes, sir. Wouldn't miss that for the world.
All right. Well, I'm going to be at Martinsville, too, so I'll see you when I get there.
All right. Sounds great.
All right, man.
Have a good night.
We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye. We're going to have to start making a list.
What's that?
We're telling all these people we're going to see him at Martinsville.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be at Martinsville for the late model race they have, the big.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's later on in the year.
Yeah.
And I want to go up for that.
That's next month. It ain't later on in the year.
Well, I mean, it's not right away. That's what I really want. I want to go up for that because I love going up there for them. They bring out them 75 to 100 cars, and I went up there a couple years ago and helped. Gosh, can't think of his name now. Travis Miller.
Okay.
I went up there. My son and I went up there and helped Travis Miller. And I fell in love with that race, that whatever it is, whatever they call it.
Oh God, it's
changed 3 or 4 times.
It used to be Virginia's for Lovers,
and then it was Bailey's, and then it's now something else. Now.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a kick butt race. I was going to try to go one time when I was still running late model, but my car was not even close. I did not have straightaway speed. I had good cornering, but I'd just been on the straightaways. I'd have had to been one of them. Everybody crashed, got lucky to get in thing.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. It is some wild racing out there. I loved every minute of it.
You'll have to the next time you get a chance to go to the house, you'll have to ask Faith about the late model race at Martinsville. She has a whole big story about that.
Oh, okay.
She'll tell you everybody thought I beat her up. But anywho. Well, hopefully everybody enjoyed the show tonight.
I did. I really did.
Lots of good stuff. You got to get to talk to Liz. Just who else do you want to talk to? I mean, I've got this.
Well, I just go through and I start looking and talking, and I make phone calls, and I like to see if I can get a hope. Like I tried to talk to Lenny Pond this week.
Yeah.
And he called me back, and we had a conversation, and he decided he says, I don't go to races anymore. I don't do racing anymore. So he wasn't interested in doing the show, but
he doesn't want to do all the memory things. Right?
No. So I mean, that's cool. I mean, but I love talking to him, and I've got some people lined up for the next few weeks to just off and on. Just they said they would do it. Whether they'll do it or not is another question.
Let's see. We already have Hunter Smith lined up for next week. K&N Racing. He's been sending me some messages, so we'll slide him in. Got some time space open.
Okay.
You've been here when we've had Sam Bass before, haven't you?
No.
You've not?
No.
Maybe
I like Sam Bass. I have met him at his place down in.
I have yet to meet him, but I've had him on here several times.
He's from Chesterfield County. But I met him in Charlotte at his place, at his gallery down there.
Yeah, we got standing invitations whenever we want to go down there. Enjoy it, talk with him, have a fun time. So I've been trying to get with him to find out when I'm going to the track, if he's going to be going to the track, and then meet up, say hi and everything, like we usually try to do. But anyway, let me go back over here. Everything was good?
I loved it. It was a good show. Good show.
All right. Well, let's get out of here, and let's start the next thing. Get ready. Click on the wrong one. All right. Here we go. I get it right yet. There we go.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, I'm Robert Richardson Jr., driver of the number 23 Dodge Challenger for R3 Motorsports in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and you're watching Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Timothy Peters, driver of the number 17 Toyota in the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Here's your 2011 champion, David Pulliman.
Hi, this is David Pulliman, driver of the 33 NASCAR Late Model, 2011 Old Dominion Speedway Track Champion. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing TV.
I'm Sam Hunt, drive the 42 car on the thing Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, my name is Natalie Sather. I drive the 94 K&N Lady Eagle Safety Wear, Butler built seats, bell helmets, hooker harness seat belts, number 94 at South Boston Speedway. Be sure to listen to Let's Talk Racing TV.